So, hi, my name is Deimantas.
Yep, I'm Mazvydas. And we're going to talk about how we're trying to create maintainable code in a cross-border team or environment, right?
Okay, so first of all, who we are? So we are just software developers in a Danske Bank, actually working in newly created wealth management hub.
Yeah, so before that, we had the opportunity to work in Mobile Life, which was sort of a startup in the bank, which the idea was to be agile and try new stuff. And well, in some places we succeeded, we learned other stuff, and in the end it was split up into 2 units with the idea to spread the agile culture in the bank, so to say.
Yeah, and make bank great again.
Yeah.
So, what is all about? We have opportunity to work for 2 products of this startup. So first one, Sunday Decay, second one, June Decay. So quite strange names. And Sunday Decay is a real estate acquisition platform. It's like a web platform for bank customer, Danske Bank customers. And here, Danske Bank customers actually can pick up the home, get a so-called digital loan without leaving the couch and buy this house.
Yeah, and June Decay is an investment platform. The idea is the investment for everyone, and so you can invest without leaving the couch with your phone, and you can become a Danske Bank customer without going to the bank. Yeah. So that's the big thing, right?
Yeah, and our goal today is to share our experience. We are not going to learn how to create maintainable code. We're just going to share our experience, how we're doing this in a cross-border environment. Okay? So, first of all, let's talk about what does it mean cross-border for us.
Yeah, so, I mean, what it sounds like, it means 2 countries, it's Lithuania and Denmark, and we're trying to work together with, yeah.
And why is it so? So, we are not going to develop in the details. Why is it so?
Because we don't really know.
Yeah, it was like, it came from above. Yeah. From high management in the bank, but nevertheless, we actually have some criteria, right? So one of these, there's supposed to be a team, not like team A or team B in cross-border sites, right? But actually one team. And how it's supposed to be? It's supposed to be when we are having equal amount of knowledge between cross-border sites. So it doesn't mean that, say, if we need in a team 1 C# or 2 C# developers, so one border site supposed to have these developers and another supposed to have the same 2. I mean the same level of knowledge, right? So equality for knowledge. No, we're trying to avoid these situations when one team is like developing the code, another team just supporting it, right? So equality. So this is the team, not a team A or team B.
Yeah, and nevertheless, since we have these rules, but it actually proved to be more challenging than we actually thought that it would be. Yeah. Okay,
so next thing is maintainable code.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it a little bit, okay? And first of all, why we need it?
Yeah, so it might be obvious for any developer in any context, and sometimes you can get away without thinking too much about it, but in our case, it's kind of essential, right?
That's because in 2 products, we have reached the growth phase, right? And exactly in this phase, we are starting to face challenges if we don't have a maintainable code, and actually we did. So, growth phase, we still need to do MVP, but our code is not POC anymore, right? So we need maintainable code a lot.
Yeah, and as I think we said once, yeah, we're at a cross-border.
Kind of said, yeah. Yes.
So that means if we have maintainable code, it means that we would need less communication to understand the same code in the same way. So yeah, so it would be easier to.
Yeah, because one of the features of maintainable code is actually easy to understand, right? So we need less communication for this. Okay, but actually, what is the maintainable code, right? So maybe you have some insights?
Yeah. The features of maintainable code. Anyone?
Readable.
Readable.
commented. Okay.
Okay, so but is that readable or just, what do you mean?
Any more?
Readable, commented?
Come on, guys. I believe you're creating maintainable code. True, false, null? Sorry? Tested. Right? Why not? Extendable delivery pipelines, yes, it could be.
I like that term, habitable. Yeah, that means that you see at first sight at the code, and it's quite clear, the structure and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's readable and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so actually, we are having our vision of what features maintainable code has.
Yeah.
So let's go with those.
Yeah, so in our case, we think that the code should be easy to understand. So if a newcomer comes into a team, he should understand what's going on. So also it should be easy to change because, well, new features, your code should be flexible enough so you put the features in and it doesn't take weeks, right? And thirdly, it's easy to trust. That means that if you put in the feature, you should be quite comfortable knowing that it didn't break on the other side.
Yeah, right. But these are features, of course, not all of those, right?
Yeah.
Because you explained a
Yeah.
lot more. But these 3 features is actually a base for us to understand what does it mean. And actually, it's not enough. We need some rules to achieve this maintainable code, right? So what rules do we have? First of all, in our view, maintainable code is supposed to be encapsulated, right? So we have public stuff, internal stuff, and nobody sees internal stuff except us and or our class or module, but sees only public stuff. And actually, tests are not seeing internal stuff too, right?
Yeah. Also, in our case, we think that it should be testable from the beginning. I mean, it doesn't mean like to TDD or not to TDD. It doesn't matter, right? But you should start testing as soon as possible. And of course, you should test. Yeah. And these tests shouldn't be a burden. That means that if you change the code, the test shouldn't break. That's why, in our case, we think that you should, we test the inputs and outputs of the tests rather than the internals of the methods. Yeah.
Not behavior.
Yeah, not behaviors. And, well, one of the things that we hate is when something breaks in production, we don't know what happens. So what happened? Yeah, so we want to know what and when it happened, so the code has to have logging and monitoring.
Monitoring,
stuff
and
like that.
yeah, we don't want to guess, right?
Yeah.
And last but not least, it kind of looks like out of context, right? But we kind of having a lot of pain of this. And yes, RPC is not a local call, and I mean not local call in the performance and the reliability part, right? It's not at all. And actually, we kind of try to remember that even remote microservice call is still RPC, and even database or RabbitMQ call is still RPC. So it's not so easy to tackle these challenges, right? So nevertheless, we know these features, these rules, but actually we are still struggling with creating maintainable code. And we're asking ourselves, why is it so, right? So the problem, why is it not so simple to achieve maintainable code? Despite we know all these rules, we read a lot of books about that. So maybe, again, do you have some ideas? Why?
Yeah. Why is it so hard to align with your, I don't know, team with like, we see stuff differently, right? Anyone have relations? Sorry, what? Oh, so you mean you're like super trying to deliver fast, you don't care about the team, you just, yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Maintainability is subjective. You cannot objectively measure it as far as maintainability.
Right. That's actually straight to the point what we're going to talk, actually.
Quite close, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe then let's proceed.
Yeah,
okay,
so
and we...
In our case, yeah, we think that it's not that easy because each one of us gain knowledge in different ways, right? So, for example...
Yeah, for example, my way of gaining knowledge is this, right? A lot of things I do to gain knowledge, right?
Participating in build stuff, right?
Yeah. for example.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that everyone has the same way, or some others have other ways, and it might be some of these points. Yeah, for example, I don't know, I just kind of know stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, actually,
Yeah. So
as a consequence of this way of gaining knowledge, we kind of having our own individual perception of things, right?
So that's straight to the point what you said. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so everybody of us sees and interprets things differently based on our experience, on our knowledge, on our whatever things, right? And actually we having a problem here because in the cross-border team especially, many of us have our own perception of maintainable code, and we kind of need to deal with this. And we actually have a couple of examples, stories of our own. So first of all is about how we did manage to over-engineer our code. So I see one guy already know what we're talking about because it's like former colleague of us. So yes, I don't know. So there was a first start of the product, and some smart guy or guys, I don't really know this story, said that, okay guys, let's use the clean architecture style. So layered architecture style. So by the way, do you know what does it mean, clean architecture style, right? Actually, we have in parallel, I guess, Jan Cooper is talking about right now.
clean architecture. Yes.
Yeah. So the idea, very nice because personally I like very much this style of coding.
It sounds nice.
It sounds nice, yeah. And the team started to work with this style and spent, I don't know, maybe a year and a half coding in this style, and then shit happens. And that was because I joined the team as new colleague. And actually I have a very annoying feature to ask people why, like, kids doing all the time. And I get to the code, saw this code and said, whoa, why? So many whys. Example, why we are having so many mappers in the code. Actually, I always took the statistic that 2/3 of the code were actually mappers from DTOs to DTOs, right? Then why actually we are getting a very huge JSON in the request? I mean, very huge JSON. We kind of parse it into a big, huge object graph, store it in the database. It occupies 20 tables of the database, and actually using only a couple of properties from this JSON in our business logic, right? So why? And interesting enough that kind of nobody cared to to emit these questions because, I don't know, maybe they already done this and gave up, I don't know. But I was kind of new and asking, right? And I suddenly, after some time, understood the problem. And the problem was, I guess, in my mind, that there was a lot of false assumption made in the process, right? And let's say one of these core bad assumptions was if you get a layered architecture, so the assumption was made that you only supposed to call from outside layer into internal layer only by layering, not like overcoming intermediate layer, right? But actually, why not to do like this? If I want from test to call application service, domain service, or domain model, so I can call directly, right? But there was understanding that you're supposed to do like this. So that's why a lot of mappers we have, in my opinion. Okay? So there was, of course, more assumptions than one. And long story short, we finally managed to somehow change our code, at least one service as an example. And as a consequence, the half of the code just gone. I mean, the half of the code. It kind of was unnecessary for my interpretation, right? From the business point of view, some typical tasks became 4 times cheaper, like from 30 story points to 3 story points. It's a kind of big achievement, okay? And what lessons we learned from this? That despite all the books, so please be more critical to things which doesn't make sense. Because many of us kind of said, yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense, but it's a layered architecture, we're supposed to do like this.
It was in the book.
Yeah, no, okay, it might be, yeah, but actually
Maybe
it wasn't, yeah. So another thing that actually reading the books doesn't guarantee that you're going to make maintainable code. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that don't read the books, okay? So yeah, and try to be more critical for yourself. Ask more whys. It helps a lot to question things.
Yeah. So the other story or example is a more recent one. We're kind of still working on it. It's a new team, a different approach. And this was no onion, that's actually a quote, no layers, just kiss, right? So we have like these these simple code services that were made like a POC, and after a year or a bit more time maybe, it finally reached production. And it was actually a successful product, and people were actually using it more than we expected. So new features came in. There's a lot of POC code, and what do you naturally do afterwards? You inject a Lithuanian team into a Danish team to make things even better. So
Of course.
yeah. So we came in. A lot of people don't have the full overview of the code because a lot of them are already gone. And so there were a couple of attempts made to make things better. So the first one was just moving the code out of like a controller to a service, but that's just like hiding garbage under the carpet. And the second thing was, I mean, every developer's dream, right? The service v2, because the second time you do stuff, it's going to be better.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So rewriting stuff, and yeah, with rewriting stuff, so a task that was estimated to be like 2 to 4 weeks long actually took us half a year.
Okay.
Half a year?
Half a year.
Okay, yeah. Actually, it took us half a year, yeah. And it's still not complete, I think. And yeah, and that's normal when you have this unmaintainable code. Yeah, and in the end, it's like it was oversimplified, but it's actually kind of over-engineered because it takes huge time amounts to change.
Yeah, and so what conclusions can we agreed on after these two
so
examples?
we kind of tried reading books, it didn't help, then we threw the books out, it came out the other way, the same, so. Yeah,
so what's the problem then? This individual perception, as we know right now, okay? And let's go and see a little bit deeper about this perception thing, okay?
Yeah.
So again, let's start, I guess, from the deeper view of this. And the deeper view, I believe, I even dare to say that this is like core challenges in our relationship, in people relationship, right? And I try to explain my view by example. Say you and your partner are arguing, and after that you kind of feel both of you insulted. But at the same time, nobody insulted each other. It happens in real life, right? At least it happens to me sometimes. I don't know how about you. So how can we solve this problem? There are many ways, but in my case, many of these ways fails all the time. But at least at this stage of my life, I have one solution for myself. When I start talking about this problem, I start talking about myself. I mean, how do I feel without complaining other persons, right? So, for example, I'm not going to say, you're a bad person, you have insulted me because you said that and this about me. I'm just saying, I feel kind of distressed, right? Because you said this and that about me, and I don't think that it fits for me. So I'm just right now I'm talking about myself without accusations. So the secret here is to have two things. Talk about how do you feel, and please openly accept how other person feel things, other person's ideas, visions or beliefs, right? So it's a very simple two things, and we have effective communication here. When we have effective communication, then we can start to talk. We're not closing the dialogue, right? We're not pushing person in this stage, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the secret.
Yeah. So we're saying that we kind of need effective communication to align our individual perceptions, at least to go in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
And there's kind of an interesting dependency here that we're saying we need maintainable code, so we would need less communication, and we need more communication or better communication to have a more maintainable code.
Yeah, and here we have kind of two interesting contradictions here. In both sides, we have maintainable code and communication, but they kind of contradicts from the first side. But actually, they are not. They kind of empowers each other, right? Like a spiral. In each line, they become more empowered by each other. So let's go and see what challenges are we facing for this perceiving issue.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge is that we are one team, but we're sitting in like 4 or 5 different locations. So there should be like there shouldn't be we or they should be us.
Yeah. And we are lacking these things like ad hoc, by the way, meetings near coffee machine. We're lacking like ad hoc meetings by talking about software design near drawing board, right? Scream for help, at least, right?
Yeah.
Because other part of the team sitting on the opposite shore of the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, and when they're sitting there, it's actually easy to forget that you have a team somewhere there.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And here we have another story about this thing. When we were injected as a Lithuanian team to the Danes team for this KISS example was what Mazvydas was talking about. It actually seems like a very normal thing. We were introduced to the new team. We kind of have actually we visit those in Denmark.
We did all the polite stuff. We went over there. We talked. We did some planning. Yeah.
And then return home and start working business as usual. But after 1 month, we kind of felt one strange thing, that we are out of decision making. All the code design or an implementation details was kind of made into Dane's side, right? And that's not very nice because we kind of supposed to be a team.
Yeah.
So
all our decisions, like
many our decisions like was shut down straight away. So we kind of raised this issue by saying, how do we feel, right? And in that case, Danes actually were quite surprised because they didn't think about that at all. And that's a normal thing because they didn't used to work as a cross-border team, particularly that team, right? So they were surprised, but after that we kind of actually start to work as a team.
Yeah. Until eventually the Lithuanian side of the team grew, and we were making some decisions, so architectural decisions, and we actually forgot to tell them what we're doing. And
the same thing happens.
Exactly. Yeah, we did the same thing. So, but we didn't do it on purpose. It's just that there's a bigger team around you. You have people around you, and you kind of don't think that there's people on the other side.
Yeah. So it is very easy to slip here, right? So that's why this criteria for teams from the above, it's quite big thing, right? No team A and B, equality and power of knowledge. It kind of inevitably forces you to think about other side. Okay, so that's it about this perception, right? And I kind of like to tell that this is our new theory with Mazvydas about this perception. We're going to write a book and be rich of this.
Yes.
So
yeah, definitely.
So, what our take on this finally? Okay,
Yeah.
What is our experience? How do we tackle this individual perception and all this maintainable code thingy? And first of all, what about communication?
Yeah, so as I said, there shouldn't be like we or they, there should be a team. So our idea is like we encourage overcoming the distance and just picking up your headphones and just calling your colleague. And I'm not saying that don't talk with the one that's sitting just beside you, but I mean, sometimes try and talk with the other teammates that maybe are not sitting here. And I mean, you might be surprised. He's not that bad.
At the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when we need to gather more people, of course, we need teleconferencing equipment. And here we have our own experience too. So first of all, no cheap hardware.
Yeah, because if you want people to ignore your meetings, I mean, you can ask them, and try using your laptop's camera and microphone, and probably after a couple of meetings, they won't be joining anymore.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another things like noise cancellation, things like...
well, room insulation.
Yeah, room insulation, yeah, it matters a lot actually. And special lighting for whiteboards, because if you fail here, so on the other side, through the camera, will be managed to see only the oversaturated white.
Yeah. And they might say the first times that they don't see anything, and after those couple of times, it's okay, draw whatever you want, I don't care.
Yeah. And what about software? So yeah, for chatting we're using Slack, Skype mostly for individual talkings because it's a like kind of a bank internal approved tool. Zoom appearing is for small meetings, and we have actually Cisco teleconferencing equipment, which is flagman of those, but actually very pricey. Yeah, but
flagman.
Yeah,
but very pricey.
But flagman.
Yes, but pricey. Okay, so for stand-ups, oh yeah, very nice picture. For stand-ups, we usually, I mean, it's a small room is enough. We usually use Zoom, because pretty much you can connect via anything, a phone or whatever. For example, if you're late for work, you can connect, because I like that. Yeah.
For bigger meetings, of course, we need bigger rooms, and actually we're kind of trying to use that Cisco equipment. You see that gray bar on top of the TV. That's because we can plan those, right? And here we're seeing the whole team gathering. Actually, in this side, we have a second row or maybe third row of people sitting in the room. Yeah, and bigger room.
It's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we're kind of talking about these planned meetings, and what if you want to talk with a colleague like ad hoc? So this is our most controversial idea, and what we're using is these 24/7 streams. So for from a first glance, it kind of seems that you're being monitored, and apparently people don't like being monitored. But it actually doesn't feel so like that. So the idea is, so if you want to talk to a colleague, you can just come over to the 24/7, and just wave to him, and he comes over. So you can do that, but at least for me, is the best way is that you can see the guy sitting near his PC. So actually, he doesn't play dead when you Slack him or whatever, because this is super annoying. Yeah.
So in this manner, we're kind of trying to mimic the presence of those, right?
And it's actually, at least for now, is the best way to feel the presence of your team member.
And I remember a very funny story when we just started to test this equipment. I remember we were I guess running 1 week already, this like test, yeah. And our agile coach went to our manager and say, after 1 week I kind of start to think that maybe it's not a good idea. Why? The whole team, the whole week I seeing on the TV my Dane colleague face on the whole screen, because the camera was installed very lame on that side. And he's actually picking his nose all the time. Like, he's sitting here, picking his nose, like looking at the result, like, and saying, maybe it's not a good idea. And our manager, frankly, being a quite smart guy.
Well, it's fine.
It's fine, yeah. So he's saying, look, would it be a difference if he will be sitting near you here in office and picking his nose at the same time with this manner? Not
really.
Not really, right? So it actually showed that this works quite well, right? So we kind of with this setup we're trying to make this presence.
Yeah.
And we're having this warning sign in our office entry because somebody can be surprised about this surveillance.
Yeah. But I mean, the best way of presence is actually being present. So It's of course probably the most expensive way, but Lithuanians going to Denmark, Denmark coming over to Lithuania. We kind of try to keep the sequel as well. So one time we go there, the other times they come over, and yeah, it's a nice way to get to know your colleague. Yeah, so going to a bar, playing some games, you kind of see him without his mask. So
especially in the bar, after a couple of months, you see colleague without mask. So you know. Okay, but what about maintainable code?
Yeah, what are we doing, or just trying to do to have maintainable code?
Yeah, so of course the main thing what we're trying to do is learn every day, and how we're doing this.
Yeah, so we have this thing called like periodic technical talks. We have this board where everyone can add his topic. Then we vote for the topic every day, every week, and then the winner, so to say, of the topic has the opportunity to prepare and lead the discussion about the topic. So that's how we're trying to circumvent the problem that we don't have these ad hoc talks about software. So we're sort of enforcing them. Yeah. But it actually works kind of nice. Yeah.
So next things is our whiteboards, and actually here we have a couple of solutions. But first of those we're trying to use real shared boards, like shared by internet. And here we're actually using real time board, I guess, realtimeboard.com solution. But
not a sponsor.
Yeah, we're not a sponsor of this, but actually it's not so easy to master those because you need a quite big touch screen. You need to learn this pen thingy. It's not so easy, right?
Yeah. So our low-tech solution was just drawing on the table or on the board and just filming it with a webcam.
And actually, it's very simple setup. You have a drawing surface, and that's it.
I mean, the only downside is that we're drawing on it, and the other side cannot really participate in the drawing. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about code a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, what we are kind of still struggling with, and we're struggling with this single responsibility, magic single responsibility thing and autonomous services. Right, this all service boundaries thing. Gosh, it's so hard to make a conclusion for everybody, right? Another thing is, design from top to the bottom. We're kind of striving to do that, but actually, quite many of us still thinking of design from bottom to top. And I don't know, is it clear for you? What does it mean? I mean that. From top to bottom, it means that if I have user stories, so I'm looking in the database, how fields will come in, and going up into user experience, right? And then find out that our backend service do nothing for the UI, right? So from top to bottom, we are starting from the user experience, from the UI, then we know how the service should behave to fulfill that requirement.
Yeah, it's also still very tempting to make these request-response styles of services rather than like more fire and forget command-like architecture. And of course, we love writing code. I mean, like
especially unnecessary code.
Yes, like error handling, validations, and logging without using like this infrastructure for this stuff.
Yeah, another hot topic is actually technical debt.
Yeah.
And we are having a lot of technical debt, actually. And how are we tackling with this one?
Yeah, so, of course, the Boy Scout rule.
Do you know that?
Yeah, so.
Exactly. Very good rule. You like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing, we actually have a backlog for technical tasks. And yeah, that's great, because it's not so easy to convince business to have this backlog.
It actually has an owner. So someone who enforces Yeah,
so we are actually planning these tasks, taking into sprint, etc. So we are lucky on this ground.
The only downside is that it's growing faster than we're
so far
managing to fix it.
A CTO?
It's a CTO.
Yeah, in our case, it's a CTO. He's pushing us, guys. This task is already 2 weeks not in progress. So what?
But it's more like not us; it's the product owners for the teams. So we can actually pull in these tasks from the tech backlog. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that management. It's a kind of developers, but CTO helps to convince management that we need those. So because if we face management only by being developers, so it can be, you know, deliver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, next step is like confidence and trust. It doesn't seem like it has to do anything with code, but in our case, and especially with new team members, it's not cool when a person comes in to a new team and says, "Oh, this is bad, and we have to redo this, and what the hell is all this?" So
I did once that.
yeah, and
I was cocky.
yeah. So the idea is don't be cocky. Write some code, give the PRs, look at other people's code, build up trust, and if you want to make something new or introduce some new stuff, it's the best way to write the code and show it to everyone.
Yeah, show me the code.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we are still missing? And we're missing, at least at this moment, ad hoc meetings still.
Yeah.
Because with nowadays technologies, it's impossible so far, right?
I mean, we're trying, but it's still lacking.
Okay. And the second thing we're missing, we will talk about after a couple of slides.
Shortly after these messages.
Yes.
Yeah. So we talked about our cross-border, how we work in a cross-border team, what we think is maintainable code for us, the problem that we have with perception, right, and what we're doing to fix it. And this is like the time to ask ourselves the big question, right? Are we creating maintainable code?
Yeah. And I believe we are not.
What?
Yes, we are not.
All this talk.
Yeah, we are very fun and fancy, but we are not creating maintainable code so far. But I'm very optimistic on that, and we actually slowly but surely going in that direction, right?
At least it feels like it, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like at least. So we'll be there on some time, but not now. And I believe because actually we kind of know the problem, right? These individual perceptions, things, communication things. We kind of we know these problems, and these problems are not for only professionals, like developers or software engineers. It's for people. We are human beings at the end, right? And we are working like human being team.
Human.
People. So here I remember one known psychiatrist, Carl Jung, think about what does it mean to work with human soul, right? Know all theories, master all the techniques, but when you touch a human soul, be just another human soul. Thank you for your attention. Questions? We have 1 minute. Sorry, you were first.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm Dane and I've been on that team.
Yes.
Only found out an hour ago that it was really soft. I have a lot of comments, but they're personal. What do you think about the television streaming?
The 24/7 streams, or what?
Yes, I know you hated that.
And I love it now and I'm working on
Oh, you converted.
We think that is actually a good thing, quite effective thing so far. So we are actually having in our office many of those setups, in every room actually. So.
Yeah, it helps, yeah.
Do you do pair programming and do you do it
If it needed, we are kind of doing pair programming in cross-border manner too, if it needed. Like we're sitting on the Skype, sharing one guy sharing the screen with code, and we kind of pair programming.
How does it work for you?
You know, it's a remote thing.
Yeah, it's hit and miss. I mean, since you're seeing the code, you're saying, oh no, right, no, go, no, yeah. So that's like, but we do that, yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to do, as I said, we mimic these things, but anyway, it's not the same level if you were sitting together, for sure.
But still not that bad.
Yes.
I wanted to ask how old is the project, or how long? I mean, if it is something which was started 2 years ago, or
already 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years old. Yes?
What if team consists of, what if the cross-border team consists of 6 country members, and is it as the start, when it starts up station, or there's a solution for this station?
I don't know. We didn't try it. Sorry.
You're saying like 6 people in all different places?
No, there's a team of more than 150 members that from 6 countries.
Yeah, that sounds.
No, we have 2 border sites like Denmark, Lithuania, but in Denmark we have at least 2 or 3 offices.
Yeah.
So it's already quite difficult.
I mean, the hardest part is to fit all the 24/7 screens so you can see everyone. If you have like 4 locations, you have to, yeah.
You're actually using it a lot.
Oh yeah, but
Yes.
that's one of the problems, because usually when you make a PR, usually you just go to your buddy, hey, just review this, and that's super annoying, because that's how you lose knowledge about stuff, because code's just being merged, and on the other side, nobody has any idea about it.
Yeah, and they can see after 1 month and say, what the hell,
Yeah.
right?
So we're trying to raise this question, like, guys, if you make a PR, please, at least on the other side, at least look at it, so someone from the other side knows, because this sometimes becomes a problem. Yeah.
How many mergers or code approvers?
Everybody can approve code, but at least we're kind of trying to get at least 2 approvers, right? And actually, our team is quite big. We have actually 3 sub-teams there, yeah, because how many, 20 people, I guess, the whole team of developers. So it's actually big. So
And
we kind of have quite a big mess, especially when you try to work on the same code base. It's quite challenging. Yes. So what is the question then?
Does it help to I mean,
Actually, it has some features to announce, some new things. Yes, I guess so, because we kind of everybody's working in its own stream, and usually after a couple of weeks, don't know what happened in the next your colleague streams, right? So demo is actually a very good integration party to know what was done. But from the business side of view, because from the code side, from the development side of view, we're having daily back-end, let's say, back-end developers meetings. Like we're having stand-up. After stand-up, we're having all streams back-end developers meeting where we're announcing what was done to make
just ask questions.
Or just, because we kind of
why it was done.
we're kind of trying to align knowledge for every developer, what is going on right now.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes. The hardest things are like we have a bug. So which stream is supposed to get this bug, for instance, right? So yeah, we are working on the same code base, and we have quite a lot of challenges here, right? We kind of we took a feature-based development. Didn't work. We kind of
feature branch.
Sorry, we kind of trying to get to the trunk-based development right now. So
because with feature branches, it was like 3 teams, feature branches, and then
after 2 months, we're trying to merge, and you can imagine what is happening. Didn't work.
You have like an agreed style that you use, like comments, some mentioned before, doctrine, whatever. Do you have agreements?
Yes, for sure. It's very hard stuff because it's hard to convince people at least to install ReSharp and style cop, all those kind of things, because many of us want to work on the MacBook, and then you have no ReSharp, and so.
Well, you have Rider, but that sometimes works differently.
Business as usual here, I would say. But yes, we're trying to have some style because when everybody working with its own style. So in the small changes you're going to see in the Git a lot changes, right, because of this, actually. Yes?
How do you share environments across teams?
What do you mean environments?
Environments. I mean pre-production. That you don't have, each team doesn't have a separate pre-production.
No, so
No.
the idea with the feature branches was exactly that like there's alpha, bravo, and whatever branch, and each team has its own branch, but that's, yeah, the hard part was merging everything into master at the end. So either we had problems with these, and now we're just having, each team has the same branch.
So the two teams, I don't know, test their own code separately, or they work on the same thing and
They can test code separately in that short-living feature branch, but after that, they're supposed to merge into master as soon as possible with the whole code base. Yes, that's why we're having challenges how to make the separate stream business requirements, which can be very huge, right? How to make these changes with backward compatible with the whole code and current code. And actually, it stops a lot, yes, but we are like searching here how to be more efficient. Anyways, when 20 people, okay, backenders, it could be, say, at least 12 people working on the same code base, it's already quite challenging how to do that. But we know that Google working on, even more people in Google working on the same code base, right? So it's possible. So we just need to learn these things. Yeah, okay. So, again, thank you for your listening. And have a great weekend.
Yep.
Evening, not weekend. Tomorrow is still Friday.
By the way.
By the way.